Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Exaltify Me podcast. Today we're going to look into how to stop being narcissistic and actually start your life. Right? All of us are in one way or form involved with narcissists. Either we are a narcissist ourselves, or we are tied to a person very close to us that is very narcissistic. Actually, we can even say that in the popular media, this has pretty much become a very often used term. This guy's a narcissist, she's completely narcissistic, right? It's so often that we use these terms and we're super quick about just throwing it onto somebody. But what does it actually mean to be narcissistic, right? What's the thing behind it? Today, we're going to look into it and we're going to check out what kind of weird perspectives we are going to get if we just look behind the curtains a little bit. So here we go. Narcissists, right? I just read an article about them. Many of them are in politics right now. It's kind of hard to give a psychological diagnosis if you're not able to directly talk to a person or directly ask them questions, right? So you have an interaction and you can check certain signals. However, if you look at these people from the perspective of media, of what they are saying, of what is going on there, it is pretty clear that they fall into this category. Now, as you know, I'm not a big fan of categories because so often we have these boxes and we just take a whole human being and we put them into a box, and that's not really what it's about. I think if we really want to learn to interact with humans, every kind of human is a different story. Every kind of person, right? They have their own background, they have their own reasons, they have their own thoughts, emotions, and so on. So everybody's unique in their own way. And yet, a lot of patterns are emerging, they are kind of repeating. And that is what this kind of science of psychology is actually looking at. What are the patterns that are repeating in between different personality types, right? Can we classify them? How can we classify them and then just put them and have a diagnosis, right? Okay, so while I think that's very useful for our purposes, for trauma purposes, and for diving deep into our own stuff, we are going to move away from this perspective just a little bit. We are actually going to go into a perspective that states, I'm just going to say this out there. I'm not stating that this is true or not, but let's just pretend for the sake of it in this podcast and maybe for experimenting a little bit that all of the personality disorders are in fact made by trauma. What if everything that psychiatrists are saying, hey, this is an illness, this is a diagnosis, this is what's going on, every single thing you can trace back to childhood trauma and even transgenerational trauma. And so these are happenings, right, in a person's life, or maybe in their parents' life, or in their grandparents' life, and then they kind of took it over onto them, something that shaped their life so profoundly that they kind of moved and shifted their personality to accommodate things, right? So can you imagine just being born and out of the blue you have a personality disorder? That's crazy. Nobody has that, right? Let's look at it from a perspective of every human being can be, in fact, be quote unquote perfect. They're just a wonderful, wonderful being that comes into this world, and then, well, a couple of things go wrong, right? And we have some couple traumatizing stories that are happening and so on. So there we go, right? The people that are in personality disorders have some kind of shit they're covering up that's in the back of them. And what I also find very interesting is, I don't know about you, but I meet many people, and if they go a little bit into psychology, there's two types. Either the one type goes like, oh my God, this disorder, this is me, I have that. And this one, this is also me, I have that as well. And this one is also me. Or they go like, no, nothing. Nothing of this matters because nothing of that applies to me. Maybe other people have a problem, but I certainly don't. So these are the two extremes, right? And both of them are kind of covering up a little bit what's going on inside. One is so lost in their identity that they don't know who they are, in fact, and what's going on with them. So they feel pulled in every direction, while the other is just like plain in denial, right? This is not me. I have nothing to do with it. Very interesting thing, narcissists fall in the latter. And people who are attached to narcissists and they get kind of into a symbiosis relationship with narcissists and like they become codependent and they cannot escape it, they tend to fall in the former category, right? They tend to be the ones that think like, oh, this is me and this was also applying to me. Why? Well, these people are very easy for narcissists to gaslight. So they will be assigning them traits, right? They will be trying to confuse them in their own identity, in their whatever they want, so they're easily manipulable, right? And the narcissists themselves, they will deny everything. If you like, try to pin them down, right? If you want to go and say, but you said that, or you did this, or just like confronting them with the truth, that's going to be very painful for narcissists because they usually can't handle the truth, right? So both sides in this kind of type of relationship, the narcissists and the codependents that are like forming relationships with the narcissists, both of them have an issue with truth. Both of them are not able to look at what is really going on. They just have different kind of coping strategies for it. But for today, for this episode, we said we're going to focus on narcissists and why it's so important for yourself to stop being narcissistic so that you can actually start living. Okay? Now, why I say stop being narcissistic is because every one of us is just a little bit narcissistic, right? We all fall on the spectrum. We have like the spectrum of different personality traits, right? And let's say you go over a certain threshold in this personality trait, well, then you could be diagnosed with a personality disorder, right? But all of us have narcissistic qualities in us. They're just differently developed. So, why it is important to understand your narcissistic qualities, where they come from, and how easy it can be if you let them go to actually start enjoying life, right? So we're going to look at that. In general, when people describe narcissists, it's like they're egocentric, they're focused on themselves, they're kind of manipulative, they're gaslighting other people, they're always kind of trying to put themselves in the spotlight, right? They have to permanently win. They have to be the top dog. They are lacking empathy. They're not as empathizing with other people. It's hard for them to go into feelings. Usually things like status matters to them a lot. Any kind of accomplishment, any kind of appreciation that other people bring to them, like overtly displaying thankfulness or something like that. All of these things are very essential for the narcissist. And from the outside, they seem like to be this really strong person that is standing in life, right? And they know what they want and they know where they go and they have this strong appearance. Now, this can be very magnetic for everyone else who maybe wants to be strong, but they kind of have not allowed themselves to develop these traits themselves. So when they look at somebody who appears to be this strong and this magnificent, right? They feel this pull towards them. They are appreciating them. They are fantasizing of how it would be to be like them. And then that kind of goes into this hero, stylizing of people. We're all normal people. We all, sleep, eat, shit, like all the same stuff. It's no different. Just some people pretend that they don't, right? And sometimes it's like really difficult to understand. So you have like this very, very, very heightened sense of self, right? In my past life, I used to study piano, right? And I studied with a teacher who was so extremely narcissistic. That was crazy. Like, that was crazy. He was like really textbook narcissistic. So you could go through every single point that they made. And let me tell you, that wasn't fun. So I was pretty fast out of there. But I just made that experience. And I can also tell you like what happened to this person so that you can maybe see a little bit the parallels to what happens with narcissists, right? So they have this grandeur, they're very important, and at the same time, they lose the ability to actually feel. This is the crucial part. They're actually losing the ability to feel. So let's say for a musician, that's obviously a catastrophe. If you're supposed to make music, but you cannot feel anything while doing that music, that's just a no-no. And then you can't really connect with people, right? You see everybody as competition. You see everybody as a threat. There's no meaningful connections with people because you cannot trust them, right? Because narcissists live in the world of wolves and sheep. So whenever they meet you, they're going to check out, are you a wolf or are you a sheep? And as soon as you are a sheep, you're of no interest to them except for, well, maybe gaslighting you here and there, maybe manipulating you into some kind of behavior, so they get from you what they want. Now, if they categorize you as a wolf, two things can happen. Either like a really strong friendship develops and also a lot of appreciation for the other person, and then it's like, oh, we're one of a kind, right? It's the same tribe, so it kind of gets to be really interesting for both sides up until the point where it's maybe a little bit of a competition game, right? Or who's the better one, who's the winner. And then these friendships will like fall apart very quickly, actually as quickly as they developed. And you can see this over and over and over again, repeating. So again, narcissists aren't really feeling. They are in this quote-unquote survival mode where they're scanning everything, checking everything. Where's the status? Where's the power? What's like the next move that I can do that will benefit me and my life? Okay, we've categorized this. Now, what's going on there, right? Why is this happening? And the reason is pretty simple. The reason is that they have distinct, deep lacking from an early childhood. And this is really the case in every single instance that you will see. They have a distinct, awful feeling of, I'm not good enough, or people don't appreciate me, or I'm not worthy, or I don't belong. Like all these, this is the belief system, right? So this is how they feel inside. They're very, very sensitive. Why we know that? Because they get triggered so easily, and they usually, when you slight them, they don't forget. They like remember. It's like they're carrying a list around of every bad thing everybody ever said, and they're just like holding on to the list and going through if you're like the good guy or the bad guy, right? So there you go. If narcissists aren't able to feel, and they have this list where they're watching out all the time who's good and who's bad and who's useful to me and who I have to be careful of, deep down inside, They're feeling so sensitive with all these negative beliefs that they have about themselves that were ingrained in them when they were very, very little. And there's nothing that they can do about it. And that's why it's so hard. Like, usually narcissists cannot change because they don't want to change, because it's stupid for them. It's completely pointless. They go like, well, I'm successful with what I'm doing. That makes absolutely no sense to change that. And they are right. You know, in their perspective, they are right. So the rate of narcissists actually converting themselves into, let's say, normal human beings is very, very low. Usually narcissists don't go into therapy, and when they do, it's just to learn techniques from the therapist so they can fool the next one better. This is a really, really hard one to think about. So, they are not willing to change because they think this is the only way to survive. And in their perspective, they are right. So if you are a narcissist right now, if you feel like, yeah, I have these narcissistic traits, then listen very carefully, because this is actually going to change your life. And if you are able to go through this, and if you're able to pull through, if you, let's say you are narcissistic, but you have this small little voice in your head that goes like, maybe this isn't life. Maybe life could be much more than what we're actually experiencing. And all the success and all the money and all the status and all the great things that I have aren't really bringing me happiness, right? Well, then this is for you, because you have this voice inside. Give it power. Empower it to lead you step by step out of this empty shell of no feelings, right? Everything is dangerous, wolves and sheep, and just step into a life that is much more comfortable to live. That's much more fun. That, you know, like, that you can be yourself, that you can be around other people, not being scared of what they think about you, or if they're going to be useful, or, you know, just like be. That there's the possibility to love, to actually love another person, and to feel loved in return. Can you imagine how great that must feel? To feel love in return. Usually narcissists that are stuck in their patterns, they do not feel love. They maybe feel appreciation, they maybe feel that people are giving them things, right? But they don't really feel love. Because they really have issues feeling. And the reason, again, they are not able to get in touch with their emotions, that they're not able to have empathy for other human beings, is because of what happened to them when they were very, very little. And these were awful things. These were parents that maybe were neglecting them, parents that had too high of an expectation, parents that didn't want the kid that was in front of them, but they wanted like a different one, maybe a different gender, or maybe they wanted them to be more successful, or to look differently, or to be more quiet, or to be more engaged, or whatever it is. But they kind of really, really didn't love this child for whatever it was. So they didn't get the love that kind of they should have gotten naturally, right? And what they are doing is they're trying to compensate and to escape the situation, right? So because they never felt real love, they don't even know how it feels. They feel this longing towards real love, but they don't know how it feels. So that is why they're accumulating appreciation. That is why they have to be the center of attention. That is why they have to be so important for other people. That's the reason they have to be in the spotlight, because then they feel like they deserve something. They feel like they are deserving of love, of life, of money, of status, of you know, just everything there is. But they don't even know how love feels like. So they never really get it. And you don't get love by doing these things, by the way. If that's not clear to you up until now, let me tell you, that's not how you get love at all. Just, for me, it's so funny to even talk about it, but in some people, there's still this connection. And I shouldn't laugh about it because obviously it's not funny. It's just how our psyche works. The reason I'm laughing is because I've been into this work for a really, really long time, and I'm just like remembering also myself, about all the things that I thought for years and the solutions that I kind of tried to find. And then, one day everything opens up and you would see it clearly in front of you. You go like, oh my God, what did I do? So obviously that was also a moment for me, right? If I do this and this, I will be deserving of love, right? No. And that's the narcissistic part in all of us, right? That's like the survival mechanism that goes, don't feel. Feeling is dangerous. It can cloud your judgment, right? The ones that feel, that's the sheep. And them you can manipulate into doing things for you. But you got to be the wolf. You're not feeling, you're calculating, you're looking into things, right? So, let's learn how to step back and actually start feeling. And actually taking this whole personality disorder that we have created as a society. And by the way, we're reinforcing it onto people more and more and more. We're kind of becoming more and more narcissistic as a society because we're kind of encapsulating ourselves in this digital space where we're not really getting into touch, like into real connection with each other. We're losing all that kind of shit. We're just like, we are not together as a community anymore. We're not banding together as people. We don't feel connected. We feel like we have to present some version of ourselves online, otherwise we are not able to exist, right? We are not going to be able to find a job, or we are not going to be able to be accepted by our friends. Like, what are they going to think of us if we don't go to, I don't know, this great vacation place and then just, here's the solution. Just stop doing that. And actually, to go into the general feelings that we have. Even if we are just a little bit narcissistic, we still have the potential to feel more and to feel more deeply and to connect more deeply with others. So here's what you're going to do. You want to go to the root of everything that's going on. So go back through your life and you can ask yourself shadow questions. You can ask yourself questions that you wouldn't be asking yourself like in the normal course of day, right? Questions like, why do I hate myself? Or why am I not deserving of love? Or why don't I belong, right? You can ask yourself these questions. Now, everybody that hears this question, they go like, cringe. Of course, I don't hate myself. I love myself. Or, of course I belong. I belong here and I belong there. And this is not about the exercise. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about when you ask yourself this question, is there a part of you that goes, ding, I have an answer and you might not like this answer. Like, what's the real answer behind that? Say, why do I hate myself? Like, what is a certain part of me saying that has an answer to this question, which is not, I don't hate myself. A part of that actually goes, well, yeah, I admit it. I do hate myself, and for this and this and this reason. If you do that, you actually get in touch with a part of yourself that you have disowned. Same thing with the emotions, right? Why we are not feeling as deeply as we can is because we have disowned these emotions. We have deemed them unacceptable a long time ago. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to think that. I want to just put it away. And since it's away, we are not really able to reconnect with it because we stuffed it away, right? So in order to feel more deeply, we need to go and find the bridge back to that part that we have disowned, to start reintegrating it, to start letting go of the resistance towards this part, and to say, this is me too. This is also part of me. This made me me, right? And that's how we actually start reclaiming lost bits and parts and everything of ourselves, right? It's starting to come back together. Whew, and that's a lot of work. So over there, we go through layers and layers and layers and layers. And certain things are easy, right? Could go in front of the mirror. Well, why do I hate myself? Well, there's a little bit of belly fat right there. And well, do I really hate myself for it? I guess. I don't know. I'd rather not have it, you know. But like, and then, okay, yeah, I do hate myself a little bit. And then go like, why? Why? And then something will come up. And the next thing will come up. And then try to just allow it to happen. Just stay with it, you know. Certain emotions are gonna come up. And your reflex, because you've been doing this all your life, your reflex is going to be, no, stuff it down. I don't want to feel that. And you actually do want to feel that. You actually do want to allow yourself to go through the motions so that you can reclaim and start being yourself. Okay? Let's go a little bit back to the narcissists, right? Where I said they're really sensitive. This also means that you can trigger a narcissist very, very easily. You can trigger a narcissist just by disagreeing with them. You can trigger them but just by, by your presence, by not giving them the attention or like the amount of attention that they think they deserve. So there's a lot of different layers to this and triggers that you can kind of push around. Well, same thing go for us, right? When you have that part that's narcissistic of yourself, same thing goes for that. Whenever it gets triggered and you go like, oh, stuffed out that feeling, I'm going to show them. Maybe just stop right there and go like, this is interesting. I'm getting triggered. First time you didn't even notice it. Like you notice it half an hour later. Well, actually, I just got triggered like half an hour ago in this conversation. I really got triggered. So let me re-roll that movie and just see what happened there, right? Then you can maybe see where the trigger happened and you can notice like what kind of feeling tried to come up and what did I do? Like it probably took over a little bit and then I stuffed it back down. This is how we handle triggers in our everyday life. And then later, you can go ahead and go like, okay, so this was a trigger. Right. So that's kind of unresolved trauma that's popping up. So I didn't do it in the conversation, but I can do it right now. I can take care of myself and just allow these feelings, right? I can allow myself to feel those feelings, feel through them, and life is going to be better after because I will be reclaiming a part that I've disowned. And the next time maybe it pokes at this trauma, you notice yourself getting triggered earlier and earlier and earlier. And at a certain point in your life, you will not be run by your emotions. You will just be experiencing your emotions, like witnessing them, but not be run by them. You see the difference? Well, either way, we're going to cover it in this podcast, what it exactly means, because it's a long journey. Don't be fooled. It's not like, okay, I'm going to do this 2-3 times, and then tomorrow I'm going to wake up and everything's going to be different. It's actually, you did this your whole life, right? And so you've paved a way, and you now want to pave a new way of dealing with things and reclaiming life quality and making everything better and better and better and better for yourself. This is why the solution of narcissistic behavior is never really a solution, because it's just like a temporary fix for a problem that you had long ago. And this fix is just going to maybe give you a little bit of dopamine, a little bit of, oh, people are thinking that I'm cool, people are thinking that I'm great, but actually it's not fixing anything. It's just giving you a little bit of a boost, momentary boost where you feel a little bit elevated, but your state deep down isn't really changing. It's the same miserable little kid that is stuck in that trauma. So you want to go ahead and look at that trauma. Now, a word for the codependents, because chances are that people that are opposite of narcissistic are also watching this video. Why? We'll explain that in another episode. But chances are you are also watching this if you are involved with another narcissist, right? And you're trying to help them. And you are trying to figure out what they think and how you can maybe even connect more to them and so on. So here's what you can do for yourself. Learn to understand what your boundaries are. Like, learn how to reconnect with yourself and the parts that you have disowned from yourself, like the ones that you don't allow yourself to feel, to experience, to be. These are mostly parts around strength, around dominance, around being yourself, right? Letting your light shine. And these are the qualities that you actually admire in a narcissist. And this is what gives you like the pull to the narcissist themselves. So if you feel like, I'm drawn to these people of power that display a lot of, grandeur and strength and everything, but in fact, they're just taking care of themselves, right? They are never really going to take care of you. Just know that. It's a trap, right? You've probably experienced that before. However, what you can do to escape this trap is to start working on yourself and to allow yourself these qualities that a narcissist has, like strength, like self-confidence, like being able to stand in front of people and present yourself and go like, this is me, right? This is my space, this is my room. Like, if you allow yourself to develop these qualities which you have pushed down for years and years and years, you will be able to reconnect with yourself and also improve your life quality. Right? Because what is happening there is it's a different kind of childhood trauma. We're still talking about childhood trauma. Don't get ahead of yourself, but it's just a different kind. It's maybe that you had a lot of siblings, for example, and so you had to put yourself always second or third or fourth, so the other had enough space, right? So you never could really develop your dominance, or maybe that you, I don't know, whenever you were getting like too loud or too expressive for your parents, they told you to shush. Don't be as expressive. That's not polite, or it's bothering. It's bothering me. It's bothering other people. It's not appropriate, and then you would get less and less expressive and kind of get some sort of shy. And again, this sticks, and that's why it's so hard for people to start expressing themselves later on in life, because we have been trained to not express ourselves by our parents, by our family. So this might also be a reason why it's hard for you to like take up your own space, to be yourself, to present yourself the way you are, unapologetically, just like, this is me, right? And again, this is not necessarily narcissistic. That's healthy behavior. The narcissist doesn't go like, this is me. The narcissist goes like, this is me, and I'm better than everybody else in this room, right? That's not what we're after. It's just about, this is me, and we can look eye to eye, right? We can be on the same level, and we can just enjoy each other's company, and that's the healthy way out of this situation. So we've covered the narcissist part, we've covered a little bit of the codependent part, and just maybe you have now a new tool set of like glasses that you can put on in your everyday life, and you can just go and check out what people are actually doing. Because people are doing weird shit, let me tell you that. And once you start seeing this, you cannot unsee it again. Once you really see this, it's like, man, we have issues as a society. We really do. And we better start working. And there's no better place to start working on this than to start working on yourself. Right? When you start resolving your own stuff, this is going to shine outwards. It's going to impress maybe a little bit of your friends. They're going to say like, oh, wow, they have a better quality of life. That's pretty cool. Maybe I try that out. Right? It's going to definitely change the relationships inside of your family. Just by resolving things inside of you can really just sustainably change your relationship to any family member of yours. Because maybe there's like this trigger that was always happening in the relationship just isn't there around. Like it's not there anymore. And you've changed. You know, everything's different from that part. So don't expect other people to change. Don't expect anything external to change. But it will change. I know it's a paradox. Just start with yourself first. Don't go like, oh, you know, but my partner could really, really benefit from this. No. I hear that all the time. People go like, and yeah, I think this is interesting, but you know who could really benefit from this? My husband. And I'm like, yeah, but no, you're here for you. Your husband maybe is going to notice you when you do this for a while, how your life quality got better. And he's going to go like, yeah, maybe there's something. I should go check that out. But don't go there and say like, well, this is actually something that I need to get my husband into. Recipe for disaster. So we're not going to do that. Either way, I really hope that you got something out of this. And please do write it down for me. This is for me, but it's also for you. Like, what was your takeaway from this episode? What was the aha moment where you went like, yeah, this is it. For me, it's really cool because I can see what resonates with you and what resonates with my audience in general, so I can create more content that's tailored to that. And for yourself, is usually, if you don't have your own journal, but even if you do, like everything that we write down, when we've learned it, when it kind of made sense for us, we write it down, we kind of ping pong it around in our brain a little bit because we need to use words, we need to formulate an actual thing, we need to type it out, right? So, by doing all of that, we make sure that the lesson we learned remembers, like our brain remembers much, much, much stronger and longer. So, this benefits you, it benefits me, it benefits all of us. Write down your biggest takeaway from this episode, and I will see you in the next one. And by the way, if you want more of content like this, make sure to like, to subscribe, to follow, to, you know, whatever people do these days, right? Just do that. And I would actually love to stay in touch with you, creating more content and creating like cool interactive courses. I already have some crazy ideas for the future, and we'll see what it holds. But not just working live with people in person, but also there could be some really, really cool online formats. So I'll see about that, wherever it goes. I will see you in the next episode, and until then, take care of yourself and have a great time.